Alright, so today we're going to talk about Skull and Bones in 2025. It's been over a year now since this game's release back in February of 2024. So we're going to talk about what's been going on with this game lately, what's changed, how's the player base still holding up, are there still people that are online? Well, the answer to that is actually yes. There actually are a good amount of people that are still playing Skull and Bones. The Steam chart shows like maybe 300 players concurrently, like that's the most you'll get. But the game has crossplay, and there are a lot more players on console, so I actually run into a whole bunch of players, no problem. I'm always invited to shit, and I always see a bunch of different ships and people roaming around the open world. So that's one thing that is a good thing when it comes to whether or not it's worth playing. The game itself, though, is just it's still just as boring as it was a year ago. They didn't really do anything to put new life into this game and make it more interesting and compelling and actually want you to spend hours of your life into this game. It is one of the most boring online games I have ever played in my entire life. Yes, it's a large map, it's a large open world, except most of the time you're just sailing the sea and you're not really able to land anywhere. Like, you'll see a bunch of islands, but you can't actually land in them. And the places you can land are just these boring, lifeless hub worlds that just it's like your standard thing in a live service game, you know, like kind of like Destiny 1 had the last city on Earth, but that was way more interesting than these stupid little ports and towns and whatever they have in this game. And then any other time when you're actually like playing and you're on your ship, you're just sailing in the water. You're in the water. You're in the water. Like, it gets boring very fast because you're just looking at water, and you know you're obviously engaging in ship combat a lot of the time, and then you get the loot from the ships and everything, but it's a formula that doesn't really have any longevity. It may be fun for a little bit, but it gets old very fast. Within probably 2 or 3 hours, I was already like, okay, I think I pretty much experienced everything that I could in this game. It's not something you're going to dump 50, 100 hours on. It's not going to happen, because you're better off watching paint dry. The ship customization is pretty extensive. I'll give them that, like, because that's like the whole thing about this game is customizing your ship and loading different weapons and different things in there. You have like furniture also, and you can customize the crew a little bit. At the end of the day, though, the game just feels so shallow. The gameplay itself is overall like fairly solid in terms of like ship combat and naval combat. It's actually pretty decent. It's just there isn't enough content to really keep you going, even though they committed recently to another year of support. It's just the whole quadruple A title that Ubisoft gave to this game. That's what they refer to Skull and Bones as, and it certainly does not hold up to that in the slightest. It's not even single A. Like, I don't know why they put all this money into this game, why they are continuing. They're doubling down on this, but they killed XDefiant. XDefiant got shut down. There were a lot more people playing that game. I know it was a free-to-play game, so of course there's going to be more players, but still, Skull and Bones is just an objective failure. Whether or not you yourself like this game, because I'm sure there's going to be some people commenting like, oh no, this game was actually good, it's an underrated gem. Every single game that I can make a video on that is just not good or has poor reception, people are going to comment that, like, oh, it's actually, like, a really good game, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, look, if you like Skull and Bones, that's good. Good for you. You know, I'm not going to try to knock on you for liking it. I'm just saying that I personally just bored to tears playing it. And I think what really got me, like, I really don't want to play any more of this game, is when I ran out of ammo with my cannons. I ran out of ammo on my ship, so I couldn't shoot anything, I couldn't do anything. I was just in the middle of the sea, in the middle of my mission that I was doing, like one of the quests, and I had to turn all the way back. Like, I had to go, like, to sail for another, like, 5, 6, 7 minutes to go back to the thing, get more ammo. I'm like, bro, I don't even care. And the menus and the UI is so confusing, too. I didn't even know, like, how to actually get ammo, how to acquire it, because they just make things so damn confusing. It's just, like, it's just such a weird game. That's the best thing to say, like, about this game. It's just weird, and it's annoying, and it makes no sense. The graphics are good. Okay, if we're gonna have some compliments here, I guess we'll talk about the graphics. Yeah, they're pretty solid. Got it more or less maxed out on my PC, and it runs pretty well. I don't have any performance issues or anything like that. And the sailing looks good, the water effects look good, and even like the actual like naval combat itself looks pretty good graphically speaking, right? So that's one thing I'll give them credit for. But as far as like the lore, the character building, and all these different things that they tried to put in, but they did such a half-assed job at it that, yeah, I expected more for a $70 game that I personally did not pay $70 for. Let me be clear about that. But the expectations are higher because Ubisoft set those expectations as high as they possibly could by calling it quadruple A, which was a different category above AAA. And AAA right now is, AAA gaming ain't no good. The quadruple A gaming, I guess, is even worse. Oh, man. Ubisoft is cooked. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, the writing's on the wall. They've been... It's failure after failure after failure. But this is definitely one of the biggest examples, like, in all of history for Ubisoft. Just how much money they lost in this game. And I really don't get why they're trying to continue with it. It's never going to take off. It's never going to be successful. They should just accept that, move on. And I don't really think like, if you're, like, really into pirate stuff, like, you can't get enough of pirate, like, just being a pirate and being on a pirate ship and looting treasure and firing cannons, like, and all that kind of, like, okay, fine. Then this game might kind of, you know, be a good niche game for you. I'm just saying, though, in terms of a live service game, like, you still have some people playing and you still have, like, you know, a decent community, but I think a year from now, it's going to be completely dead because the player base is diminished so much from what it was a year ago. It's probably lost like 80-90% of its original player base. And it does have crossplay, so if you have friends on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and you're on different platforms, you can play together, but I can guarantee you, you are not going to find any friends to play this game with. I mean, I guess you could try to find random people in the game because, you know, you're always invited to stuff. Like, I get invites all the time, like I said. So you'll be able to, like, find people and play games with if you really, really, really want to. But I think, you know, if you have, like, actual friends, like, whether they're IRL or online friends that you have, like, on Xbox Live or PlayStation or Steam or Discord, whatever, you're better off just playing a game that those people, like, the people you actually, like, want to play with, actually want to play. This certainly ain't going to be one of those games. Like I said, unless you got, like, a pirate fetish and all your friends have pirate fetishes, you might as well give it a shot. Otherwise, I would say hard pass. No, the game is not worth playing in 2025. And I doubt that it's ever going to be, despite all the updates and everything that they're coming out with. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll eat shit a year from now. Somehow they'll release a bunch of updates that save the game and actually make it interesting, but this game would need a serious overhaul. Like, that would cost them so much money that they clearly do not want to spend, that they do not have the resources for, and so I don't think it's ever going to happen. But, hey, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you still play Skull and Bones in 2025? I mean, I tried, but I couldn't get into it because the gameplay just wasn't that compelling and interesting to me. The world and the characters were not very interesting to me, and even like this giant open world, you're just sailing in the sea. You're just in the water the entire time. And it doesn't really feel like a big world. It just feels empty and boring and shallow. Compare that to Sea of Thieves, for example, and I understand they're completely different games. It's not fair to make a direct comparison between them, even though they're both pirate games and you're sailing on your ship. But with Sea of Thieves, at least you have a lot of places to land and explore, and all exploring the water is just not that. There's not going to be any fun in that, really. Like, unless you're like really, really, really interested in stuff like that. But I think the vast majority of people watching this video are going to be bored very quickly. So that's why I don't recommend it in 2025.